George Orwell's novel 1984 is considered one of the examples of the dystopian genre. The text clearly shows parallels and borrowings from Zamyatin's We. This is a leader benefactor, a single totalitarian state, operations to change thinking, experiments with language, regulation of personal life, total surveillance, and much more. However, thanks to Orwell, such phrases and concepts as Big Brother is watching you, doublethink, new language, thought crime, and 2 times 2 is 5 came into use. Orwell is known to have planned to call the novel The Living and the Dead or The Last Man in Europe. Why do you think he chose 1984? Do you have a more appropriate title? Write your answer in the attached comment. In the city, there are posters everywhere with the face of a mustachioed man and the words, Big Brother sees you. It seems that the eyes in the portrait are constantly watching passers-by. Every step of the residence is monitored, and their apartments are equipped with tracking devices. Monitors broadcast news around the clock and record any sounds in the room. Everything that comes into the field of view of the screen is under video surveillance. People never know whether they are being watched at any given moment or not. At different ends of the poor, crumbling city stand giant buildings of central government. The Ministry of Peace deals with war, the Ministry of Abundance with the economy, the Ministry of Love with order and law, and the Ministry of Truth with information, education, and the arts. On the facade of the latter hang the party's slogans: War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is power. 39-year-old Ministry of Truth worker Winston Smith returns to his apartment in the Victory House. He sits down in an alcove from which he cannot be seen by the monitor and begins to keep a diary. He is scared because he is committing a thought crime. He now faces torture and execution. Winston describes an incident from work. At the 2-minute hate show, he felt hatred not only for the revolutionary traitor Goldstein, who was shown on the screen, but also for the dark-haired girl in the art department. This girl wore a red scarf, the symbol of the Youth Anti-Sexual League. Young and pretty people like her were the most fanatical supporters of the party, slogan swallowers, voluntary spies, expressionless and robotic, symbolizing blind allegiance to the party. Winston hated this rage-inducing hypnotic trance, but was forced to participate in it. By chance, he met the eyes of O'Brien, a member of the inner party, and read understanding in them. "I'm with you," he seemed to say. "I know all about your contempt, your hatred, your disgust. I am on your side." The arrival of a neighbor interrupts Winston, and he goes to her to unclog the sink. Mrs. Parsons' children are making a fuss because they can't go to the square to watch the execution. Their violent games resemble the fussing of tiger cubs who will soon become predators. The children accuse Winston of a thought crime and shoot him with a toy slingshot. That night, Winston dreams of his mother and sister. They look down at him silently from the bottom of the mine. Another image is of a girl tearing off her clothes, as if she were tearing the horrible world apart. Winston wakes up with Goldstein's name on his lips. The next day, Winston discovers that the elderly woman in the newspaper has been transformed into a young man. This means that the party has rewritten history, making it so that someone who has fallen out of favor never existed. Winston works for the Ministry of Truth, actually the Ministry of Lies. His job is to change the information in the newspaper in accordance with new party directives. Winston sees his comrades destroying documents in the memory chute. The past is destroyed, destruction is forgotten, lies become truth. Winston hates the party, but he only rebels in secret. He has only 2 choices: stay alive and remain human, or die trying to challenge the system. Winston doesn't want to disappear like the other vaporizers. He is depressed by the thought that an uprising is impossible. At night, Winston writes, "If there is hope, it is in the proles." Proles are the lowest class of people who are allowed to live by their own rules, without constant supervision. Their main weakness, however, is indifference. The next day, Winston walks into an antique store. He likes things from the past that the party neglects. The salesman offers him a glass paperweight with a coral inside. Winston then sees a room that strikes him as the perfect meeting place with no TV screens. Winston walks home and notices a girl with a red scarf on her way. He suspects that she is spying on him and even thinks of hitting her with a stone. Winston believes that she, like the rest of the fanatics, is constantly watching his behavior. A few days later, she falls down in front of him and surreptitiously hands him a note. It reads, "I love you." Winston is shocked, but later manages to organize a secret meeting. They talk and agree to meet again in the field. The girl says her name is Julia. She works in the art department and hates the party as much as Winston does. Then their relationship becomes even closer, and this creates a new conflict with the system. Winston and Julia meet in a field where they talk freely and feel like real people. Their meetings are filled with fear of being caught, but they feel the pleasure of their rebellion against the system. Julia explains that she hates the party not because of its ideology, but because it restricts her personal life. She thinks the system is weak and believes that one can cheat it and enjoy life. Gradually, their meetings become regular. They are renting a room above an antique shop where there are no TV screens. This room becomes their refuge, where they can be together without fear. Winston buys a few trinkets from the past to make it feel like a real home. In the room, they feel free and even dream of a future where the party does not rule their lives. Winston begins to think about joining the rumored resistance. He thinks of Emmanuel Goldstein, the leader of a fictional enemy of the party, and his book. Winston is convinced that the book contains the truth about the party and its methods of governance. He wants to get his hands on the book. One day, Winston receives an unexpected invitation from O'Brien, a member of the inner party. O'Brien promises to give him Goldstein's book. Winston finally gets the book and starts reading it. The book explains how the party manipulates the truth, uses the constant state of war to keep the population in line. Winston sees his thoughts confirmed and begins to realize how deeply the system controls all aspects of life. In the room above the store, Winston and Julia read a book together. They hope that there are other people who hate the party too and dream of the day when its power will fall. But their illusion of security is shattered when they discover that they have been watched all along. The room has a hidden TV screen, and they were under party surveillance. Winston and Julia are arrested. They are separated and taken to the Ministry of Love, a place where people are tortured and brainwashed. Winston faces the worst nightmare of his life. O'Brien proves loyal to the party and takes part in his torture. He reveals to Winston that the party's goal is not happiness or prosperity, but absolute power. In the finale, Winston is taken to room 101, where everyone is forced to face their worst fear. For Winston, it's rats. To escape the torment, he betrays Julia, crying out for her to be tortured in his place. This betrayal becomes the final rupture of their intimacy and his own humanity. After his release, Winston is not the same man he was before. His will has been broken. He becomes loyal to the party and sincerely loves Big Brother. His humanity, resistance, and dreams of freedom have been completely destroyed. He no longer thinks about resistance and completely obeys the party. His thoughts have become as empty and mechanical as everyone else's. He is not even able to remember his past, which was once full of hope and struggle. There is no room left in his mind for doubt or struggle. He stopped asking himself why he loved Big Brother. Everything he does is done out of automatic habit, without internal resistance. He has become just another tool in the hands of the party. He merges with the masses, no longer having any will or personality. Over time, he forgets everything that was once important. There is no room in his heart for love or the desire for freedom. He had accepted his role in the system and no longer intended to seek a way out. The party finally won the victory over his individuality. He no longer felt like a man, just part of a big machine. His soul was devastated, and all that remained was the worship of Big Brother. He became part of a faceless mass living under constant control. He has finally become one of the many controlled by the party. Thank you for watching to the end. If you like this retelling, please like this video and don't forget to write in the comments what book you want to see next time. Your ideas are very important. See you in the next videos.